Hello my lovely Libras, welcome to your November tarot reading. This is for all Libra Sun Moon risings, and I'm using the Druidcraft Tarot today with some clarifiers here should I need it. I probably will. But welcome if you are a returning subscriber, and welcome if you are new. I hope this message brings you everything that you need to hear, but if not, no worries, it might just not be for you. Hello. Okay. Now that wasn't me being butterfingers. Sometimes it is. Okay, so these came out for Taurus. They want to do 2 from the bottom as well. Okay, so 2 from the top, 2 from the bottom. And 2 in the middle, bing bing. There we go. Okay. Let me just move these up slightly. I'm going to get another one from the top. I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, so we have the World. If you can hear motorbikes, that's my noisy neighbours deciding to rev their engines. Okay, so you have 5 of Pentacles, the Hangman, the 2 of Cups, the Prince of Wands, and the World. So you have quite an interesting layout here. I do feel a lot of this is to do with how you are approaching adversity. 5 in particular, it feels like, just a little bit of an insecurity, a worry, a constant like, am I doing the right thing? It may be an imbalance as well here. I do feel that some of you are just suffering anxiety, basically, and 2020, I do not blame anybody for suffering with anxiety at all. It's a very difficult time, it's a very harrowing time, so I do understand in that instance if you are suffering a little bit from anxiety, and I'm sending you so much healing and love if you are. The Hanged Man then comes across as very interesting because actually it could be the same person here. You know, you go in the right way up, but you have made some sacrifices, you have made some suspensions of, you know, you've been forced to, I think, really take a stock and a step back and just focus on yourself, or focus on others and just kind of go, you know what, I can't keep doing this. So I feel as though you are continuing to reduce the amount of effort that you have to give other people. You're making your circle a bit smaller, in my view. You're making your circle smaller, which could be, you know, people who have been toxic or people who have just been too overwhelmed. You're kind of reducing the amount of time you spend on those things, but also it could be that you're kind of putting pause on something that you have wanted to achieve, and it could be, I want to do this by such and such deadline. So it could be that you wanted to get a revision done of a project or something. It could be you wanted to submit papers for something but you just missed the deadline, or you know, it wasn't that important, you can do it again next time, enroll on a course. Something just didn't feel like it was right, or it would have overwhelmed you, or it will overwhelm you, and you take the decision this month to go, okay, I'm reducing the amount of projects I'm doing by 1. So instead of 3, you're just doing 2 and you're balancing them, and you can focus on those 2 fine. If you choose to do all 3, it could be too overwhelming. I think though, the sacrifices you have made with the Hangman, the World comes in to show you that this will be accomplished. I think you will be fulfilled, and I think that you will have a feeling of, okay, things come in full circle. If you do reduce a little bit as to what you are expecting of yourself and what you're expecting to give others, because Libras, you're very giving, so I think if you reduce that responsibility on yourself, you'll feel a little bit more like you can handle things. And I do believe, like from this, I think I've got cat fur everywhere because she's fussing around me. I do believe that this world is telling you that you have all the materials you need within yourself to achieve it. It's just a case of not expecting you to go full pelt. It's like you have to pause sometimes. It may feel like sometimes you feel like you have completely bound and gagged yourself. You can't say anything, you can't express yourself, you can't open up to people, something like that, because of the pressures around you. So if you reduce that, I think that's going to be better for you this month. Certainly here, as soon as Mars goes direct, I mean Mercury goes direct very early in the month, as soon as Mars goes direct, about the 13th, 14th of November, you should see a push forwards within this area. So you should see, because you rule relationships house, you should see your relationships improve. Like, this is not just loving relationships, it can also be platonic, business. It feels like you're able to communicate more effectively with people, you attract more opportunities and the better people. As soon as you get rid of the energies you don't need, you'll start to see it expand outwards again, and you can actually fit in more people that are fitting with your vibration. Basically, they match you very nicely, and it feels like this has been something that you've been after for quite some time. A connection of like-mindedness, people who understand you, who don't question you, who don't look at you with a lip sneer if you mention you do Reiki, or if I like reading thriller books or whatever. They don't look at you like, what are you talking about? There's just some kind of spiritual connection with them. There's a good connection, and it doesn't feel like you have to make so much of an effort with them. And I think that's kind of what you would ideally have in all your relationships, because you have made such an effort. And I think now is just the time to kind of reduce things slightly. But I do feel that you accomplished something this month. You feel achieved. You feel like you've done something. You feel happy about something. Because again, this person is the same as in the Hanged Man. So for me, letting go of something and just kind of having this reversal of I'm giving all the time, I'm going to give to me, this actually gives you a sense of accomplishment. It gives you this feeling of, okay, I'm done, I'm whole, I'm complete with just what I have now and the limited things instead of everything at once. And that enables you then to hit the ground running. Now, you're not the only one to have a knight at the end here. I think maybe Scorpio did as well, I think. But Prince of Wands is basically you pushing. This is motion, this is energy, this is passion and adventure. So with this particular person here, it feels a lot like you're able to surprise yourself, really. It's kind of like the Queen of Wands, which is after this, is queen of their ideas, queen of their creativity, in control of where you're putting that creative flair and energy, being in control of, you know, what you let into your life and what you give out of your life. And I feel like the Prince of Wands is overcoming something here. There's been a hump in the road, but you're overcoming it, and I feel you're now happy to forward motion on your journey. You feel empowered by either the right people around you or having this excess energy that you've spared by having to worry about everybody else. So by doing that, I think that there's this feeling of, I can do this now. I feel revived. I feel great. Mars definitely helps. It definitely helps. But it feels as though you're like, okay, yay, I can do this. Mercury Retrograde, I think this is the end of Mercury Retrograde here, because it ends around the 3rd of November. It goes direct. 3rd of November. So I feel like your review, because it went into Scorpio and Libra, your review of your life, your review of yourself, you know, your feelings towards yourself, basically, your approach to life, that would have been a review. And I see also there's been some health issues. I think for everybody in October there was some kind of health issues. But it just feels like that's now ending because you've done a review. You've seen what you can and cannot cope with, what you must do to keep yourself on the right path. And I think reducing that is just teaching yourself what your limits are, accepting them, and not saying that your limits can't change. Like, you could probably entertain 10 people maybe in a year, but right now just 5. Just start slow. Just treat yourself nicely. Don't stress yourself out. It just gives you more manageable chunks, you know? Like at a dinner party, you don't want everybody shouting at the same time. You just want to talk to the people around you immediately in your, you know, field of listening. So that, I think, is important. So I am just going to get some clarifiers. See what else they want to say. For darling Libras. Oops. I do feel your energy's coming back. I feel your energy's coming back. I feel like you're like, woohoo! Maybe it's because we're getting into December now and 2020 is almost behind us. But I do feel that your knowledge that you've had this year, the experiences that you've had this year, are all feeding into a higher purpose for you, and you may not understand that yet. You may not even be bothered to even consider that yet, but I do believe that it's coming up for you very quickly. Obstacles and challenges, well, we don't mind that because you're overcoming them, and I feel like the challenge is kind of saying to yourself, do I have enough energy to make this leap? You probably don't towards the beginning of the month. You probably don't. You probably can't take the next step that may scare you but also inspires you. Now this 5 can also be a little bit of disagreement. So I would say that, again, the people around you will make that a whole lot of difference with how you feel about yourself and how you feel about life in general. And then we have Triumphant Success. So you are an air sign, so this would be the air card for you. And this is basically saying they're very similar, I understand, in colour, but this one is purple and this one is blue. It's very difficult to see, especially in low light. But that's wands and this is swords. So this is basically you pushing forwards. This is you having, I call it the sword of truth. So it's kind of like you're cutting ties. If you say the truth to somebody and then they bugger off somewhere, you haven't really lost because you said the truth, and the truth means a lot. I think that if they don't like what they see, the truth about you, they're lost really. But it's you mainly, kind of like your Excalibur moment, your power, your victory, your clarity. It comes when you've had time to decompress, to ruminate a little bit, to kind of restore yourself, do a little bit of tender loving care around this time, and then go, okay, I'm going to use what I've learned to actually put into action and move forwards in a very, this is my moment sort of thing. It's kind of like you've taken up the baton and you're leading yourself into the charge here. It's like, yes, I am going to get this. So this is a bit like, oh, do I have to do it? Do I have to do it? But then you're like, no, I do. This is me committing to myself. And then you actually improve towards the end of the month, feeling more direct, feeling more focused, energized. It actually feels like, even though it starts a bit wobbly, it ends on a good note, Libra. So I'm really fingers crossed for you. And let me know in the comments below if this does resonate with you. Check out your sun, moon and rising for a more whole approach to the next month. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Sending you so much love, and take care of each other as well.